any responsible organization plans in advance what it is going to do, especially when it knows it's going to face fierce opposition to progress. The fact that these secretly funded extremist groups are attacking us today validates the wisdom of anticipating the attack and planning for it. So I guess, do you consider yourself an extremist, and what's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I think it's very troubling that that Representative Hagan and I would be listed, first of all, as extremists when it comes to a plan by our Ohio Department of Natural Resources, again, the agency that's supposed to regulate. So for them to put us in camps, I think is again, very, very troubling. And to have us on the side of opposition extremists, along with the Sierra Club and some other organizations that work on the health and well-being of our state parks, of our parks in general and of our environment. And on the opposite side, the friends of ODNR, seen as Halliburton and some of the oil and gas industry, that separation, that drawing of battle lines, if you will, is very, very troubling to me coming out of our agency.
You know, that was particularly galling to me, and I'll tell you why. When you talk about extremism in government, this administration should answer the call of what's going on with the Koch brothers and their investment in Ohio. They should also talk about what they're doing with ALEC and how they've introduced legislation that's mirrored exactly what ALEC has offered. Those are the extremists that are involved in politics in this country and in this state. Those are the ones that have done everything that they could to discredit those of us that are trying as hard as we can to make sure that our environment is protected, that our water is safe to drink, and that our air is clean. They're the ones that have constantly talked about deregulating everything. That's extremism. And anybody that's sitting in this room knows what the extremism of this climate change has happened just in this last 2 weeks. We know exactly what's been happening. And I'll tell you what those that won't accept the fact. There's a serious discredit going on for those of us that care deeply about this community, about this state, and about this environment. And this governor and his cohorts in the business industry care only about one thing, and that's profit, dollars and cents, and the bottom line. And I'm saying that this governor is off base. I'm accusing him of implementing this program. I have absolutely no doubt that it was implemented. And I'd also ask that you reporters look into the campaign donations that have come since this was implemented in July, was it August of 12? 8 months after the earthquake in Youngstown, Ohio. Don't tell me that this plan was not implemented. Don't tell me that this was a plan to make sure that they got as much money into the governor's coffers in his campaign for the next election.
You know, I also want to say that if this was benign strategic planning, then why would the governor's aides deny that this plan even existed? And then we found out yesterday that indeed some of them were in on, at least reports indicate that they were probably in on the planning session and sat in it themselves. So, you know, whenever there's a denial or a question of whether or not something did occur, again, what Representative Hagan and I are asking for is a true accounting of what is going on. If ODNR is doing its due diligence and there is nothing that's compromised, great. But we believe, and we're asking the Speaker of the House to hold hearings so that we can get to the bottom of this and so that we can find out what the real facts are.
Do you know if a plan exists maybe from your caucus or from the Democratic Party that looks like this but with the roles reversed? Have you ever seen a plan from your side that categorizes the other side as opposition groups or adversaries?
I've never seen it. I've been here for 28 years. I've never seen an organized effort like this. I've never seen an effort on behalf of an entire administration directed again by the governor. And again, I think Representative Antonio points it out. Casey James knew of the plan for fracking in state parks. They knew of the plan. That's true. They knew of it. First they didn't, then they did. This sounds like Christie all over again. This sounds exactly what the governor of New Jersey was talking about and lying about, and the facts are right in front of us, folks. First they didn't know it, then they did know it. And quite frankly, we've never seen a plan like this. I've never seen a plan like this. Shouldn't we be planning about the future of our state? Of course we have plans. But transparency is what the voters and the people in this state want. They want us to be out front, not hiding behind Halliburton, hiding behind the gas and oil industry, hiding behind legislation that is written by the gas and oil industry. And Director Tom Stewart, that's right, Director now, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, we might as well call him that, he's the one that made the decisions about what kind of legislation that we would have. And we see it right in front of us. Representative Foley is saying it on a daily basis about how they're changing, amending, and doing everything they can to make this the bill, the legislation, the law in favor of the gas and oil industry. You guys have one?
Yes.
Yes,